Tickle, tickle, tickle. Now this is the Kiowa legend that once Sandy tried to destroy the prairie dog population, and he invited them to come and dance in the circle and close their eyes, and that he would sing for them. And while they were dancing round in a circle, Sandy was hitting each prairie dog on the head with a stick until one little prairie dog opened her eyes and saw what Sandy was doing, and she escaped. And she is the survivor of the prairie dog population today.
Our people used to tell stories in the evening around the fire.
Yes, nearly every night.
Why don't you tell me about some of the pictures my grandfather and his friends drew after they were sent to prison in Fort Marion, Florida?
Cheyenne and Kiowa young men who drew these pictures were in Florida and in the East between 1875 and 1881. They were in a strange land, 1,000 miles from their friends and relatives. They were very anxious to come back here to Oklahoma. Some of them live right where we are now, in the Wichita Mountains. Here they could settle down with a wife and a home of their own.
How could a fellow looking for a wife get acquainted with girls when a girl's mother kept her with her so much of the time? Did they have dates or something like that?
There was one way that was approved by our people. A young man would stand near a girl's teepee with his robe pulled up over his head and hiding his face. As the girl came in or out doing her household tasks, he stepped up to her and threw his blanket around her.
Wow!
If she did not like him, she would break away from him, and he would be very embarrassed. But again, she might stay and talk to him for an hour or several hours, standing or sitting wrapped in the robe, while the people of the camp passed back and forth about their business.
It'd be funny if she was popular and had more than one man wanting to get acquainted.
White Horse, the famous Kiowa, drew a picture showing what once happened to him. We can tell he is showing himself here because of the circle he always painted on his face. We can read the whole story if we know how. In the early days, women were not supposed to draw pictures at all, but the old men taught the young men just how they should draw to express what they saw and thought. They were to show their personal combats. They were to use foot tracks to tell what had happened in the past, so a picture could show both past time and the present. Following the foot tracks, we can see how the girl came out of her teepee and stood outside and talked to White Horse. Another man came to see her, but stopped to watch and wait. When he couldn't stand it any longer, he jumped up and ran at White Horse, who ran off a little way and then turned to fight. The jealous man has a club and knocks down White Horse while the girl looks on. And those are painted lines on her face, not tears.
She looks as if she were enjoying the fight. Maybe she didn't like White Horse that much. Couldn't a fellow try to talk to a girl when she was doing her work around the camp?
Sometimes he followed her when she went after water or wood. This girl doesn't want to talk to the two men under the umbrellas. She sets down her full pail, picks up the dipper, and throws water at the men.
Those umbrellas may come in handy. I wonder how Whitehorse came out after his fight for the girl.
I don't know if this is the girl he fought over, but here the famous raider shows some girl admiring his take of horses as he returns from a raid. The brand on the horses shows that he probably took them from white men. If a man wanted to marry a certain girl, he would send as many horses as he could to her family with a message asking for her. Sometimes a man went on the warpath just to take horses and send them as a present. This was the highest compliment that he could pay to the girl and her family.
Did you know this was Whitehorse by the circle painted on his cheek?
That is one way to tell. The older way is by the name symbol connected to his head. The old man taught him that the right way to identify himself in a drawing was by attaching this little figure of a white horse to his head.
Why did Whitehorse bring horses to the girl's family?
People respected a man with a large herd of horses because it showed his bravery in warfare. More than anything else, our people admired a man for his brave deeds. From the time he first went to battle, at 15 or 16 years, he tried to win the people's respect as a warrior. There were two kinds of warfare, horse stealing and combat. The Kiowa man named Woha shows a party out to raid an enemy's camp for horses. Why do you suppose they went on foot for horse stealing?
Well, they could hide from the enemy in gullies and behind the hills as they went toward the village. They could sneak into the camp quietly, and they could ride home on some of the captured horses and drive the others before them.
When men went out to fight, our people might give them a big send-off. The people shown here in the ring are holding a great rawhide which they will drum on far into the night, singing the travel song, while the war party prepares to leave. Buffalo meat. A Cheyenne shows his people fighting the Osages.
What's the story here?
The Osages are making a stand in the bed of a creek. Following the foot tracks, we can see how one brave Cheyenne makes a show-off charge circling the enemy. He rides through a barrage of arrows and bullets unharmed as he dashes through the stream twice. An Osage wounds the horse, which staggers to right and left. Another Osage creeps forward from his comrades hiding behind the brush. He shoots the horse at close range, brings him down and runs back. The Cheyenne jumps off his horse unharmed, throws away his bow, and walks away through a shower of arrows with dignified coolness, as a great warrior should. He holds his shield high. He is sure it was the shield's strong medicine or power that protected him.
They could tell a lot in one picture, couldn't they?
Men had to be able to do this. Since they had no written language, they often used picture writing or pictography to write letters or leave signs telling other members of the tribe where they had gone or what had taken place. Liu, the Kiowa, shows the difference between our style of fighting and the white man's. Our warriors take cover behind a ridge, then dash out one at a time as each man wishes to, until they are within range of the enemy, when they fire and retreat. The soldiers of the army form a circle with their covered wagons and advance in a line at the command of an officer who will tell them when to fire. A drawing by Zontom, the Kiowa, shows a successful war party returning home. The men who are bravest in the battle are allowed to lead the parade. All the men steal quietly up on their own village and then charge it, whooping and frightening their families. In a few minutes, fear turns to joy, and songs of victory by the women.
They were happy to have the men they loved win the battle and come back safe. This picture by the Kiowa, Sadalta, shows a woman who looks as if she were going to war herself.
On the way to war, a man needed to be free to ride off swiftly, looking for the enemy over the next rise, and his war horse must not be tired out from carrying a heavy load when he met the enemy. Sometimes he took his wife to war with him, to help by carrying his cumbersome weapons until he would need them. Back at the camp, the women would help him by doing the work for the family while he rested from the hard work of war and hunting.
What's so hard about hunting? I think it's fun.
We go hunting for sport, but in the old days, hunting was a serious responsibility and a tiresome chore. Our people expected a man to furnish his family with all of the meat and other parts of animals that they needed to live well.
Just like the way you work to support us. They must have been smart hunters to keep finding food all the time.
They studied animals' habits. Zontom shows us how they use camouflage to stalk elk. Making medicine, a Cheyenne knew that the little pronghorn antelope have keen eyesight and great curiosity about things new to them.
Let me tell what this one says. He let the antelope see him from a rise, and when they came near for a closer look, he shot one. They all ran off, and he moved to another hill where he set up his gun rest. The whistling leader will be easy to shoot.
Among our people, a family was highly respected if it had brave men and good, sensible women and some possessions. When the people made treaties with the white man, the government began giving them meat and other things once supplied by the man of the family. The treaties also said that there should be no more warfare. This meant a great change in a man's duties to his family. A woman still cared for her home and children as before, but a man could no longer take horses in war to court a wife. He could no longer win the admiration of the people in fighting, and he no longer furnished his family with food and other necessities of life so that they might be well off. The man had lost the right to do things to make his family respected in the old way of our people.
Stories in the evening around the fire.
Yes, nearly every night.
Why don't you tell me about some of the pictures my grandfather and his friends drew after they were sent to prison in Fort Marion, Florida?
Cheyenne and Kiowa young men who tickle. Now this is the Kiowa legend that once Sandy tried to destroy the prairie dog. One little prairie dog opened her eyes and saw what Sandy was doing, and she escaped. And she is the survivor of the prairie dog population today.
Our people used to tell
Population. And he invited them to come and dance in the circle and close their eyes, and that he would sing for them. And while they were dancing round in a circle, Sandy was hitting each prairie dog on the head with a stick until